News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, the lift in futures comes on optimism on the trade front. The European Union says it has agreed to accelerate negotiations with the U.S. to avoid a transatlantic trade war. The move comes after President Trump extended the deadline to hit the EU with 50% tariffs by more than a month to July 9th. We get more from Bloomberg's Oliver Crook.
It has been very difficult to get any idea of where the kind of hard points of negotiation are. The EU has put forward a number of proposals, probably all, somewhat too abstract for the Trump administration, which is really just concerned with big dollar figures and sort of big wins. And of course, the difficulty the EU has is it is an institution that is not, singularly best optimized to negotiate with an administration that can move very, very quickly and very mercurially because there are 27 different member states.
Bloomberg's Oliver Crook says President Trump's 50% tariff threat would hit $321 billion worth of goods trade between the U.S. and EU.
Now to the latest on the trade war with China. Nathan, Bloomberg News has learned Chinese President Xi Jinping's government is considering a new version of its Made in China 2025 campaign to boost production of high-end technological goods. Policymakers are also looking to maintain the share of manufacturing and gross domestic product at a stable level over the medium to long term.
Well, Karen, President Trump's airing more frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay?
The president says he is absolutely considering sanctions against Russia. That's as it launched its largest drone barrage yet against Ukraine over the weekend. The Kremlin is dismissing the president's comments as an emotional reaction. Meantime, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says Ukraine now has permission from its allies to use Western weapons to strike deep inside Russia. He says that includes the U.S. Previously, the U.S. had authorized use of its ATACMS missile system in Ukraine's border regions with Russia.
Nathan, President Trump is ramping up his fight with Harvard University even further. In a Truth Social post, the president said he's thinking of diverting $3 billion in grants from the Ivy League institution to trade schools across the country. The president wrote, quote, "What a great investment that would be for the USA." The Trump administration has already frozen $2.6 billion in federal research money for Harvard and moved to block it from enrolling foreign students. Harvard won a temporary court order against that ban. The university has called all these moves to change its governance and diversity practices an infringement on academic freedom.
Let's turn to markets now, Karen. Bonds are rallying around the world after Japan indicated it's looking to stabilize its debt market after weeks of rising yields. The move suggests Japan is trying to stabilize a market where relentless selling had pushed bond yields to record highs, and a sale of 20-year debt last week got its weakest demand in more than a decade.
Shares of U.S. Steel are lower after surging on Friday. President Trump has reversed himself and appears to give his blessing to a deal with a Japanese industrial heavyweight. And we get more on that story with Bloomberg's John Tucker. John, good morning.
And good morning, Karen. President Trump announced a planned partnership between U.S. Steel and Japan's Nippon Steel, claiming it would create at least 70,000 jobs and add $14 billion to the U.S. economy. Steel workers like Glenn Thomas reacted to the news.
I'm elated, overjoyed. I'm happy for all the families that are going to be able to keep sending their kids to college, paying their mortgages, and feeding their families.
However, investors, executives, and diplomats are still unsure of what exactly the president agreed to. His unexpected announcement on Friday stopped short of explicitly endorsing Nippon Steel's proposed $14.1 billion cash takeover of U.S. Steel, instead asserting that the company would, in his words, remain in America. This follows 17 months of negotiations. The stunning reversal comes as the U.S. and Japan are also engaged in trade negotiations. After a 21% jump Friday, U.S. Steel is down about 1% pre-market this morning. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, John, thank you. One of the biggest events this week comes tomorrow when Nvidia reports its quarterly results. The chip-making giant is seen as a bellwether for so-called growth stocks and the sustainability of the artificial intelligence boom. Its outlook will be crucial given macro risks and tariff uncertainty. We get more from Bloomberg Intelligence Global Head of Tech Research, Mandeep Singh.
Overall, look, the market is still undersupplied, and Nvidia chips are still the most performant when it comes to accelerators that you need for AI. So from that perspective, I mean, Nvidia still has that moat when it comes to the AI accelerator market.
Mandeep Singh of Bloomberg Intelligence notes Nvidia shares have surged 39% after hitting a 52-week low on April 4th. In this morning's pre-market, they are up 2.75%.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.